A promise of government funding to help improve lift safety in buildings. Donald Trump says a planned summit with Kim Jong-un next month may not work out. And the University of Southern California president urged to resign over the university's response to abuse claims.
Hello and a very good evening. Chief Executive Carrie Lam today promised to earmark money to help property owners replace or upgrade old lifts in their buildings. However, the CE made no mention of the funding amount, while lawmakers are asking for $2 billion. This report now from Caleb Long.
Lift safety remains a major concern after two recent accidents, including a fatal one in Changshui earlier this month. Lawmaker Gary Chan pressed the chief executive for funds to replace old lifts.
Are you going to set up an independent $2 billion fund to subsidize the replacement of escalators or improvement of escalators by owners? So the SAR government is more than prepared to formulate a policy and make the financial commitment. We have a fund to help owners to deal with fire safety installation. So we will perhaps also do something about lift safety.
Yet she didn't say how much money will be earmarked. Another lawmaker surveyed more than 200 of her constituents and found that around 70% of them want to have the lifts in their buildings replaced. That's why she is also asking the government for $2 billion for the works.
Those decision makers of the building cannot reach consensus to change the lift because it involves huge money, huge interests. So it will drag along for accidents to occur.
In a report submitted to LegCo, the Electrical and Mechanical Services Department highlighted alarming figures. Of the city's 66,000 lifts, around 80% are not equipped with the latest safety devices, as the lifts were installed before stricter laws came into effect. The department is considering mandatory lift modernization works. It is also in the process of figuring out a financing system for lift replacements.
About the financing system, we have already proposed some measures for improving in the medium term, but we have to listen to the views from different parties, different stakeholders, before we can really confirm the details.
Otto Poon, who chairs the Lift and Escalator Safety Advisory Committee, welcomed the move and the proposed government funding. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Chief Executive Carrie Lam also talked about a number of other controversial issues at LegCo today, while lawmakers are urging the government to quickly implement a controversial demerit point system for taxi drivers. The industry is crying foul. Winner Wong reports.
A protest on Hong Kong Island this morning as taxi drivers expressed anger towards the proposed demerit point system.
For the time being, already lots of laws to control all the drivers, including the taxi drivers.
In contrast, lawmakers want Chief Executive Carrie Lam to implement it fast.
There are several major problems involving taxis, tampering with the taxi meters, taking a detour, a refusal of hire, and overcharging. For these four major problems, which you can ask the relevant secretary to consider a point deduction system. The Secretary for Transport and Housing will carefully consider the proposal and also consult the trade before launching the point deduction system.
Another issue brought up to Lam is the problem of Hong Kong journalists facing aggression while working on the mainland. The Democratic Party's Roy Kwong said not only did Lam fail to condemn mainland officials, she advised local reporters to observe the law.
They were just covering news. What law did they break? On these two incidents, we are following up on them, and we're also working with the Hong Kong Macau Affairs Office to see how better we could improve communication and liaison to prevent such incidents from happening again. But we've been slapped in the face, and you are the chief executive. You should air the grievances, address the grievances for us.
Fernando Zheng of the Labour Party also blasted the CE for not doing enough to improve the city's homes for the elderly. But Lam replied that just having money is not enough. Right now, the city lacks the land and manpower to make any significant changes, the CE said. Winna Wang, TVB News.
Lawmaker Ted Hui will be investigated by his peers within the Legislative Council. Pro-establishment veteran Regina Ip raised a motion to condemn him. She described Hui's phone-snatching saga as shocking and a humiliation to LegCo. LegCo President Andrew Leung announced that an investigation committee will look into the incident and submit a report to the council. Then there will be a debate, and Hui could lose his LegCo seat if he's condemned by 2/3 of council members present.
10 men accused of removing bricks from the street or throwing them at police officers during the 2016 Mongkok riot will be sentenced later this month. The district court trial took place at the West Kowloon Magistrates Court building because of the large number of defendants involved. One of them pleaded guilty, and the 9 others were found guilty of various riot-related offences. They are aged 19 to 73. The lawyer of one of the defendants, Mo Jiatao, argued that the man was just 17 years old at the time and blindsided by negative views of the police. The judge then questioned why the defendant led the pack in throwing things at police. Other defendants regretted their actions, which the defence counsel said were due to impulsiveness or even foolishness. Sentences will be handed down on May 31st.
Another person got into trouble for taking photos in court. That was during a High Court hearing this morning. The court case involved 5 people who were allegedly in breach of an injunction order during the Occupy Central movement. The judge ordered a woman surnamed Tang to return to the court this afternoon after she was caught taking pictures inside the courtroom. She told the court she could take pictures whenever she wanted to, even with the judge. She added that some legal staff also did not follow rules, for example, by eating or drinking just outside the courtroom. The judge questioned if that entitled her to be wrong. The judge then noted the case has been reported to the police, adding that the Department of Justice may accuse her of contempt of court. She was ordered not to leave Hong Kong over the next few days and to appear at court on Friday.
Turning overseas now, US President Donald Trump expressed doubt about whether the highly anticipated summit meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un can go ahead as scheduled. The White House plan a June 12th meeting is moving forward, but Trump has now publicly dialed back his eagerness, adopting a more wait-and-see approach. Alan Buckner reports.
Trump met with South Korean President Moon Jae-in in what was supposed to be fine-tuning for the planned summit, but it became more of a crisis session after North Korea suspended talks with the South last week and threw the summit into doubt, condemning U.S.-South Korean military drills.
It's a very substantial chance that it won't work out. I don't want to waste a lot of time, and I'm sure he doesn't want to waste a lot of time. So there's a very substantial chance that it won't work out, and that's okay.
Trump also expressed disappointment in a surprise second meeting Kim Jong-un had with President Xi Jinping on May 8th.
The first meeting we knew about, the second meeting, I think there was a little change in attitude from Kim Jong-un. So I don't like that. But I think that President Xi is a world-class poker player.
Moon Jae-in reminded Trump of the sky-high stakes, saying the fate and future of the Korean peninsula hinges on the meeting. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said they're still planning for the June 12th summit in Singapore.
We are fully prepared, with the mission statement having not changed at all. We are committed to achieving denuclearization and creating conditions such that the North Korean regime no longer threatens the world.
Meanwhile, South Korean journalists will be among the group of foreign media to witness the dismantling of the North Korean nuclear test site this week. Pyongyang had initially refused to grant them entry because of the military exercises that it calls an invasion rehearsal. The dismantling is expected to happen on Thursday or Friday, depending on the weather. Alan Buckner, TVB News.
Meanwhile, the United States and China are working towards an agreement that would ease U.S. sanctions that were imposed on ZTE and let the Chinese telecoms giant stay in business. President Trump said the deal might require ZTE to revamp its board and pay a fine of more than $1 billion. Uncertainty has crept back in Sino-US relations after US President Donald Trump said he wasn't pleased with recent trade talks between the United States and China. Still, Trump did float the idea of fining Chinese tech giant ZTE instead of imposing severe penalties that would have banned the corporation from using American components for 7 years. This is after the firm was accused by the US Commerce Department last month of violating international sanctions by trading with North Korea and Iran. Trump thinks a fine of up to $1.3 billion and a shake-up of the company board should do the trick.
So I envision a very large fine. I envision perhaps new management, new board of directors, very tight security rules. But we caught them doing bad things. We caught them, not anybody else. We caught them doing bad things. And we essentially made it so difficult that it was shut down. By shutting them down, we're hurting a lot of American companies, really good American companies.
According to a Bloomberg News report, the decision to ban American firms from supplying ZTE has seen the Chinese tech company estimate its losses at around $3.1 billion. On Capitol Hill, Republicans and Democrats alike criticized the White House for seeming to go easy on a company that had violated U.S. sanctions. Indeed, the Senate Banking Committee voted to make it harder for the president to modify penalties on Chinese telecoms firms, and lawmakers said they were examining other possibilities as well.
Former South Korean President Lee Moon-bak appeared at Seoul's Central District Court today for the first hearing in his corruption trial. Lee has been detained since March 23rd on charges of taking bribes when he was in office. He was questioned by prosecutors earlier this month over 16 charges that involved suspicions he took around $10.3 million unlawfully from a number of institutions and individuals. Lee, in office from 2008 to 2013, has said the investigation into the bribery allegations is politically motivated by prosecutors under the current administration.
Pressure is growing on the president of the University of Southern California to resign. Faculty members and students want C.L. Max Nikias to step down over the school's handling of complaints that a campus clinic gynecologist sexually abused his patients during examinations. James Aiken reports.
USC is facing a mounting tide of litigation accusing Dr. George Tyndall of misconduct and the university of complicity and negligence. Tyndall resigned last year after an internal inquiry found his pelvic examination practices were beyond accepted medical standards and that he had harassed patients. Tyndall has previously denied any wrongdoing.
Dr. Tyndall told me to undress from the bottom down. And he stood there watching while I did so, and he smiled. He then instructed me to lie on the examining table, which I did. He said that this was part of an STD test. He didn't use a speculum or any other medical tools.
The university has acknowledged failing to properly act on at least 8 complaints made against the 71-year-old doctor between 2000 and 2014.
I am still in shock that USC had heard about Dr. Tyndall's inappropriate conduct and had allowed him to continue practicing. Reportedly, USC was aware of Dr. Tyndall's inappropriate conduct before I was even born.
With more lawsuits being filed against USC, faculty members and students are demanding the resignation of the school's president, C.L. Max Nikias.
We're also calling on USC to conduct an independent investigation of the very serious allegations made by these students who allege that for many years USC knew of inappropriate conduct by Dr. Tyndall, but failed to take appropriate measures to protect innocent students who were under his care.
In a statement, Nikias said he was committed to working on a new action plan to address the crisis. A published report said some colleagues of Tyndall's feared he was targeting the school's growing population of Chinese students. James Aiken, TVB News.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro ordered the expulsion of the top U.S. diplomat and his deputy in retaliation for a new round of sanctions over Sunday's widely condemned election. Maduro accused U.S. Charge d'Affaires Todd Robinson of conspiring against the government during the election. He called his deputy, Brian Naranjo, the head of the CIA in Venezuela. He ordered both to leave the country within 48 hours. Robinson said he and his deputy strongly reject the allegations. Tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela have mounted since the election, which the White House called a sham.
State media reported that Vice Premier Han Zheng visited the Greater Bay Area in the last couple of days. CCTV reported that between May 20th and the 22nd, Han Zheng headed down south to the Greater Bay Area. He made a quick visit to the Guangdong Pilot Free Trade Zone and was in Zhuhai and Xianhai. The official also checked out the progress of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge project and learnt of technological cooperation efforts between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. Han heads the Central Coordination Group for Hong Kong and Macau Affairs. The official is expected to announce plans on furthering development in the area. And earlier this year, Premier Li Keqiang spoke about building the Guangdong-Hong Kong-Macau area. The goal is to gradually allow residents in the two SARs to enjoy equal access to housing, education and transportation, should they live and work on the mainland.
And still to come in the news tonight. An official comment on the water seepage problem with the Express Rail Link project. In India, 10 deaths caused by a rare virus spread by fruit bats. And Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's first royal event as newlyweds.
Welcome back to TVB News. Questions tonight on why the MTR Corporation only admitted to signal problems days after the issue was identified along the local section of the Express Rail Link. The glitch interrupted yet another test run on the line. Christy Lung reports.
The chairman of LegCo's panel on transport didn't seem too concerned about a botched test run of the Express Rail Link last week. Just yesterday, the MTR Corporation reported that it halted the trial for more than an hour after detecting unstable signals near Mai Po. The railway giant later explained this may have been caused by electrical resistance from a buildup of mud and dust when mixed with water that seeped from below ground.
It's not a leakage due to structural fault. It's simply water somehow seeping through the outside wall, which you will never have 100% proof.
While he was critical on why the MTRC took days to make the issue public, the transport chief said officials were alerted instantly.
I would relay the message to the Mass Transit Railway Corporation and encourage them to let the media and the public know should there be any issues of concern.
The official stressed signal or water seepage problems are unavoidable in large-scale infrastructure projects. He said feedback from experts so far showed that the overall construction of the Express Rail Link is of very high quality. Christy Lung, TVB News.
Overseas again, a rare virus spread by fruit bats has killed 10 people now in India. 2 more cases are being monitored. The Nipah virus was first identified during a 1998 outbreak in Malaysia. It can also be spread by human contact. It can cause raging fever, convulsions and vomiting. There's no vaccine for Nipah. The only treatment is supportive care to control complications.
Fresh from their wedding at Windsor Castle last weekend, Britain's Prince Harry and his wife Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, attended their first royal event as newlyweds. The occasion was a Buckingham Palace garden party honouring Harry's father, Prince Charles, for his years of charitable work. More than 6,000 people involved with charities supported by Charles also attended the party in the Palace Gardens. It is the first of many events to be held in advance of the Prince of Wales' 70th birthday in November. And that's the news.
Thanks for watching. Good night.